Here's a nice simple way to make a Christmas tree. Obviously it requires you getting hold of some of the materials. The first thing that I've got is this wire mesh. It's the size of wire mesh that they use for animal cages, for small animal cages. And you can buy it either by metre length, or you can buy a very big roll. I've got a big roll because it's fantastic for armatures, very bendy. You can also make little baskets and things with it, so it's very useful. And I used a large dinner plate to cut out a circle. You can use any size of circle, but the size of circle that you use will determine what size your Christmas tree is going to be. Well, at least what height it's going to be. Then the segment that you take out will tell you what, how narrow or how wide your Christmas tree will be. But I'll just do a very simple one to start off with. The other thing that you need is some kind of greenery to wrap around it. In one of the other Advent projects, I am making a different type of greenery, so I will show you another form of Christmas tree later on in the month. Maybe just in a few days, we'll see. But this stuff is very useful, and I bought this from a supplier at one of the miniatures fairs, so it's always worth keeping your eyes open for things like this that you're going to want near Christmas. But you can buy something similar but a bit heavier, which is actually probably even a bit better for this job, at craft suppliers. I bought quite a lot from the United States a while ago. I'm not quite sure where it is at the moment, so I'm going to use this one. And this came at about, I think it was about, I can't remember whether it was €7, so not cheap, but still quite nice to use for all sorts of things. The little wreath that I made, you can make simple wreaths out of this as well, very, very simple, and swags, etc. So it's quite useful for all your Christmas decorations, for dolls' houses, etc. So that, a pair of scissors that you don't mind using on wire, because this wire is simple to cut with a pair of big scissors, and in fact it's that part of the scissors that cuts better, the part near the base. It's got more pressure on there, but remember that that's not going to be a pair of dressmaking scissors, because you'll ruin them for dressmaking. The other thing that I've got, just to make a simple tree, is a pack of little Christmas balls, tiny Christmas balls. Bought them from a Chinese shop for about €1, probably no more. So I'll just put those in the bowl so I can use those later. Very lightweight, which means they'll stick on quite easily without coming off, I hope. I'm only guessing because I've not done this before, but that's what I'm hoping. I'm going to pick out, I'm particularly fond of the white and blue colourway for Christmas decorations, so I'm going to just pick out the white and blue for this. And so I decided also to get some blue ribbon as well, so I've got some blue ribbon out. So the first thing that you need to do is to cut this into 4 or more if you're going to make a narrower tree. So you need to know which is half of this circle. So I kept a piece of paper from cutting out the plate. I did a piece of paper as well, so I could know which was exactly the half. So cut that in half, and then again we need to know where the quarter is, because it's not always easy to guess. So as you can see, this stuff's very easy to cut. Okay. There is one problem, that the base is a little bit too curved at that point, and you may have to just alter it so that your tree isn't slightly bending over, slightly leaning over, like the leaning tower of Christmas tree. Then the next thing you do is simply gently curve this around until the two parts meet. Oh, I did forget to tell you that another thing that you need is some flower wire. If you've been doing the things up to now, you probably will have some flower wire in. If not, you can just use some of this wire anyway, some of the wire off this. You can even cut a piece off. So start to curve it gently. If you try and curve it too quickly, you'll just get a bend in it. Until these two little bits come together. We don't want to flatten it. We don't want a flattened top. So as these come together, you take a piece of flower wire and basically you sew them together. So just twist that off first so that it doesn't pop out. And then I simply sew it all the way up. Because it's wire, it's rigid enough to hang on, to poke through. So it's quite easy to do. I've used this technique in my garden book for various garden structures. And it's about the simplest way to make a structure, really. You're going to cover it with something else. As I say, if you want a taller, thinner tree, which I might use for my other Christmas tree, then you need to cut a third or, a sixth instead of a quarter of your circle. Nearly there. Just need to make sure. Now, if you're worried about scratching your fingers, you might scratch your fingers a little bit doing this. And use gloves and a pair of pliers to help you, especially with this top, because this is a little bit scratchy, the top end. I must admit I don't really bother with things like that, which is probably why my hands are sometimes in a state. Okay, so that's nicely tied off. Oh, come on, I'm going to hang on to that bit because that top bit can hold on to the top of this and just attach it firmly. Then it's just simply a matter of starting to wind and wind all the way down, nice and close together. And I think you get 2 or 3 trees out of a roll like this. Can't remember whether it's 2 or 3, but I've done several, so I know you get more than one out of a roll. So even if you only get 2, that's for your €7, you're going to get 2 trees. But I think you get more than that. And that's for this very fine one. For the thicker one, obviously you're going to get a better result. Or you're going to get more for your money. If you want, you can sew a bit on to stop it slipping, once again with your flower wire. And the way I twist it off is I just put it through and then I get my fingers between it and twist like that, and that just makes a nice firm twist. You can just hide that end in there. That makes sure none of it slips. Couldn't get more simple really, could it? You can take more time and make it even denser, but I don't like it too dense. I quite like it nice and open. Right, now you're starting to see that the base is very slightly too long in one place, and you can actually trim that off. Be careful where all these little bits of wire go, because if you've got cats, etc., they might go all over the floor and getting your cat's paws, getting your vacuum cleaner, etc. So then you need to sew this bottom bit off. Oops, can't find it. I don't wear my glasses when I'm doing videos, which means I'm working a bit blind because I'm working further away from my face than I normally do. Right, and twist. Oh, I didn't mean to cut that off, I meant to cut this one off. Wasn't thinking. So just, yeah, just sew around the bottom of this. I forgot to bring my pliers down, and what I would normally do is bend all these little spiky bits back so that they're not scratchy. Just tack around the bottom. Let's see if that's standing reasonably straight. Yeah. Good, that should stay put now. Back to the beginning. Throw that away. So that's the tree, the main part of the tree. Didn't take very long to make that, did it? And then you need a ribbon on the top. I will show you later in the week how to make a little angel for the top of the tree, but meanwhile, you're going to have a ribbon, just as a finishing touch to the top. So let me just tie a bow in this ribbon. I'm sure there are people that are better at this than me. Fabric's not really my thing. I'm sure there's a method as well of tying multiple bows. But once again, that's something I don't really know about. No, I've got that one wrong, I think. Anyway. Do one more. I'm sure my friend Hazel is going crazy. He's going, Angie, why didn't you ask me? Hazel Dowd would have put me right on how to do this. But this is just to fill in while I haven't got an angel for it, so I'm not really worried about it. If you want to know how to tie a proper ribbon, I'm sure there's plenty of detail on the internet for you. Right, so I've made a little multiple bow and I'll put that on the top of the tree. Actually, I think I might, shall I put that on now? Yes, I will. So otherwise I'll have to handle it while it's got wet bubbles on it. So I just wire everything on because it's so simple. And that green wire just disappears into everything. Right, I'm sure that some people will tell me a much better way of doing this. But I think probably the best way of doing this is probably to wire it on in little flowing bunches. But I'm not going to, I tell you what, I'm not going to take the time it takes to put that on, but I want it to go in nice flowing bunches. And then but I'll do that later because that's going to take some time. I might even need to use a sewing needle and sew it on in some places. Obviously you can't get right. Hello Smoosh, my cat wants to say hello. Here you are, come on say hello. Smooshy, come and say hello, get out of the way and stop crying. This is my other cat, making the tree look like a tiny little thing next to a huge cat. Right, have you had your moment of glory? Say bye-bye then, and can you be quiet? Good, I hope so. So you'll need a tacky glue, but you'll need a fast setting one, especially if your baubles aren't as light as mine. Mine are as light as a feather. They feel like breakfast cereal, they're so light. And I know from the last project I did that this glue's a bit dried up, so I'll take the lid off and apply it with a cocktail stick. So simply one blob. And I'm going to ignore all the other colours except white and blue. I'll just attach those with little blobs of fast grab tacky glue. Some of these balls are smaller than others, so I'm going to try and put the biggest ones on the bottom. There's only a slight difference, but it's just enough to make it look better if you put most of the big ones at the top, big ones at the bottom and the smallest ones at the top. It'll just have a nice flow, I think, if I do that. So I'll carry on with that and you'll see the final result when I've finished. Please don't forget to like and share and subscribe, because the more people watch these videos, the more I can make. Thanks very much.